We've all done stupid things, haven't we? Now, I know a few of you are thinking, not me. Seriously, haven't we done some pretty stupid things? I know I have, plenty of times. And they usually seem like good things to do at the time. Stupid things usually do. And someone would invariably come up to me and ask, well, why didn't you do X, Y, or Z? All being better choices than the one I made. And almost always my answer would be the same. I never thought about it. And Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. It's amazing the number of things we fail to think through. We're either in too big of a hurry or too lazy or whatever, and it often gets us into trouble. Sometimes it's just small trouble, such as when we fail to think about what the speed limit is, and as a result, we get a ticket. Or in the summertime, we don't put sunscreen on, and it's not that sunny, and consequently, we get a bad sunburn. Or, as I remember one year, a husband bought his wife a vacuum cleaner for their anniversary. Okay, now that's big trouble. But sometimes the stakes are much higher. We drink too much and then injure someone with our car. Or we become very angry and abuse verbally the ones we love. Or we stay in relationships that are destructive for us. The examples are endless. Sometimes we don't take the time necessary to think things through. And Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. One could argue that in general we are much less self-reflective than we used to be, at least in the best sense of the word. Self-absorbed, yes, maybe. Self-reflective, not so much. And I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe, as I so often say, it's our hectic lives. Maybe it's the amount of energy we spend trying to entertain ourselves or distract ourselves from our problems. Whatever the cause is, it's not clear. But I keep wondering how many of us really take time to ponder life's biggest questions and our relation to them. How many of us really wrestle with moral issues, trying to be the very best we can be? How many of us seriously contemplate what it's all about, what it all means? For many of us, including myself at times, I think we let others do our dirty work. We let other experts figure it out and tell us what it all means. So we end up often buying a book to solve a problem, or we turn on the TV to watch Dr. Phil tell us how we should feel and what we should do. In the moral arena, we often do whatever anybody else does. That many people couldn't be wrong, could they? We tell ourselves. And so many of us put our lives on autopilot without giving anything a second thought. But the spiritual life, it's all about reflection. Our spiritual lives are not of the cookie-cutter variety. One size does not fit all. Mary knew that. Since the first time the angel came to her, Mary realized that her place in the world was unique, that her life would forever be unlike those of others, that God had a special plan for her. And so Mary reflected on all these things and pondered them in her heart. Just think about this for a minute. She gives birth to Jesus under the most difficult and incredible circumstances. Born in a stable, in a place that she never imagined would be the place of her child's birth, in a town that she never imagined would be the place that he would be born in. And what does she do? She contemplates what it all means. As these shepherds arrive and disappear, as the three kings come, she contemplates and ponders on them. And she probably is not just thinking about herself, but what it means for Joseph, her spouse, what it means for their future life together, and for the Israelite people as a whole. Mary was not just passive. She wasn't some person just sitting there in God's saving work. She actively engaged it, participated in it, and cooperated with it. She reflected. She pondered. She weighed. She waited. And she knew. And so it can be for us too. God has something special planned for each one of us. No two of our lives will be or should be the same. Each of us is unique in God's eyes. And that means that our place in God's saving work is unique, no matter how large or how small. And no one can play the part that God wants you to live other than you. But it won't happen by accident. It didn't happen that way for Mary, and it won't happen that way for us. And it certainly won't happen if we presume that our lives need to look like everyone else's. But it can happen if we make sure to take time to truly reflect on what this all means. Who is God? Who is Jesus? What does it mean when we say Jesus died for us? What's the point of our lives? What's a good life? What's my place in the world? Who am I willing, or what am I willing to do for this God whom I cannot see? These are just some of the big questions that I'm inviting you to contemplate. Not solve. God will solve it. Simply to contemplate, to ponder like Mary. One of the most ancient titles for Mary was Theotokos. Theotokos, which is the Greek word that means God-bearer. And the truth is that each of us, in our own way, is asked to be God-bearers in this world, to bring God to every place and person in which we find ourselves. I know that it sounds incredible. I know that it sounds sometimes impossible, but it's not. It's our calling. It's our destiny. What does it mean? You might say, what difference could I possibly make in this world? What will be my part to play? I can only offer you one suggestion. Do what Mary does. Think about it.